Number one oncologist reveals the simple daily habit that prevents cancer. After 50, what is about to be unveiled to you transcends mere theoretical concepts or abstract medical conjectures. These are not speculative ideas, but rather the precise, actionable 5 habits that I, Dr. Richard Ben, have consistently and personally recommended to every single high-risk patient walking through the doors of my clinic for over a decade. The profound and often astonishing results witnessed from these interventions have fundamentally transformed lives in ways I still find utterly remarkable and deeply gratifying. There exists a crucial piece of information, a startling truth that the vast majority of individuals over the age of 50 have regrettably never been informed of. A fact so impactful that it genuinely astonishes even some of my most experienced medical colleagues. The singular, most potent and accessible cancer prevention tool available to you right now is entirely free of charge, requires no medical prescription whatsoever, and can be initiated immediately, quite literally before you even finish engaging with this comprehensive explanation. With 27 years devoted to the intricate fields of oncology and cutting-edge cancer prevention research, my professional journey has been dedicated to meticulously unraveling the precise biological and lifestyle determinants that explain why some individuals develop cancer after the age of 50, while others, often seemingly similar, remain free from the disease. What I have uncovered through this extensive research has irrevocably altered the very foundation of how I approach and counsel every patient who seeks my guidance. In the year 2022, a groundbreaking study meticulously conducted by researchers at Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health was published in the esteemed journal JAMA Oncology. This landmark investigation tracked the health trajectories of over 135,000 adults across an expansive 2-decade period, providing an unprecedented depth of data. Their ultimate finding was nothing short of staggering. Individuals who consistently and diligently practiced a specific cluster of daily lifestyle habits managed to reduce their overall cancer risk by an astounding margin, up to 61% when compared to their counterparts who did not adopt these practices. To reiterate, a 61% reduction is not a minor adjustment or a slight improvement. It represents a monumental difference. For hundreds of thousands of people, this percentage signifies the critical distinction between receiving a devastating cancer diagnosis and maintaining a clean bill of health, offering a profound sense of hope and control. Understanding the needs and concerns of those seeking this vital information is paramount to my mission. Knowing the age and primary health concerns of individuals engaging with this content allows me to tailor and refine the guidance I provide, ensuring it truly serves the community I am committed to helping. Today, I will meticulously guide you through these 5 most powerful cancer prevention habits specifically designed for adults over 50. We will explore them in a progressive manner, starting with the foundational elements and systematically building towards the single most life-altering intervention. I assure you that by the time we arrive at the culmination of these insights, you will possess not only a clear understanding of what specific actions to take, but also a deep cellular level comprehension of exactly why these actions are so profoundly effective within your own body. It is crucial not to skip ahead, as each habit intelligently builds upon the preceding one, creating a synergistic effect. Furthermore, the number one item on this list, the very practice that underpins the most dramatic and remarkable patient transformations I have witnessed, is almost certainly something you profoundly underestimate in its preventative power. I urge you to remain engaged as we embark on this transformative journey towards optimal health. Let us commence with a habit that, on the surface, appears deceptively simple, yet it operates through an intricate biological mechanism that the majority of people have never had properly explained. Once you grasp the profound implications of this mechanism, your perception of common dietary choices, such as a seemingly innocuous bag of chips, will be forever altered. Every single cell within your complex human body is engaged in a relentless and vital process of replication, division, and self-replacement. In a healthy, optimally functioning body, a sophisticated process known as DNA mismatch repair acts with incredible precision, akin to a meticulous proofreader diligently scanning and correcting errors within your genetic code before these minor discrepancies can escalate into full-blown mutations, and critically, before those mutations have the opportunity to develop into dangerous tumors. However, here lies a critical and often overlooked problem. After the age of 50, the inherent efficiency of your DNA repair enzymes naturally undergoes a significant decline, typically by approximately 30 to 40%. This means that your body's internal proofreading system becomes considerably less reliable precisely at the juncture in life when decades of accumulated cellular wear and tear have resulted in the greatest number of potential errors in need of correction. This vulnerability is dramatically exacerbated by the widespread consumption of ultra-processed foods. Consider those ubiquitous packaged snacks, the convenience of fast food meals, the array of processed deli meats, and the tempting variety of sugar-sweetened beverages. These items accelerate the breakdown of your cellular repair mechanisms by flooding your cells with harmful compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These AGEs are highly inflammatory compounds that directly and profoundly impair the critical function of your DNA repair enzymes. A compelling 2023 study conducted by researchers at Imperial College London and subsequently published in the esteemed European Journal of Nutrition meticulously tracked the dietary habits and health outcomes of 197,000 adults. The findings were unequivocal. Individuals whose diets were characterized by the highest consumption of ultra-processed foods exhibited a staggering 32% higher risk of developing colorectal cancer and a 19% higher risk of breast cancer when compared to those who primarily consumed whole, unprocessed foods. Further reinforcing this critical link, that same year, researchers at the National Cancer Institute confirmed in the journal Cancer Research that ultra-processed food consumption was independently associated with a remarkable 28% increase in overall cancer mortality. This association held true even after meticulously controlling for other significant risk factors such as obesity, smoking, and physical activity. This irrefutably demonstrates that the problematic nature lies inherently within the food itself, extending beyond merely the weight gain it might cause. Allow me to illustrate this with a tangible example from my clinical practice. I recall a patient I'll refer to as Sandra, a 58-year-old administrator residing in the bustling Bay Area, who initially sought my consultation after her sister received a colon cancer diagnosis. Sandra characterized her daily diet as typical: cereal for breakfast, a deli sandwich for lunch, and packaged crackers with processed cheese as an afternoon snack. Her inflammatory markers, specifically her C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6 levels, were both significantly elevated, signaling chronic systemic inflammation. Over a period of 12 months, without any other substantial lifestyle interventions, Sandra systematically replaced her ultra-processed dietary staples with whole food alternatives, incorporating items such as steel-cut oats, diverse legumes, a wide array of fresh vegetables, and quality olive oil. The results were truly remarkable. Her CRP levels plummeted by an impressive 44%. Her IL-6 levels normalized completely, and a follow-up colonoscopy revealed a complete reversal of the low-grade mucosal inflammation that her gastroenterologist had previously flagged. For you, the most impactful starting point for integrating this habit today involves one concrete, manageable shift. Replace just one ultra-processed item in each of your daily meals with a whole food equivalent. The key is not to attempt an overwhelming overhaul all at once, but rather to implement gradual, sustainable changes. For instance, your morning bowl of sugary cereal can transform into nutrient-rich oatmeal adorned with fresh berries. That convenient packaged snack bar can be replaced by a crisp apple paired with a handful of walnuts, and instead of processed deli meat, opt for a piece of grilled chicken or a protein-packed hard-boiled egg. These are not choices rooted in deprivation. Rather, they are conscious decisions for cellular protection and long-term health. Moreover, it is crucial to recognize the profound synergy inherent in these habits. When you intentionally combine this dietary shift with the principles of habit number 4, which I am about to discuss, the reduction in your systemic inflammation is compounded in a way that scientific research unequivocally demonstrates is far greater than the sum of either habit alone. Before we delve into habit number 4, it is imperative that you fully comprehend its significance. What you are about to discover next represents one of the most consistently underrated and powerful cancer protection strategies within the entire domain of modern oncology, yet remarkably, almost no one over the age of 50 is consistently practicing it. When the concept of sleep typically comes to mind for most individuals, their primary association is simply with feeling rested and rejuvenated. However, when I, as an oncologist, contemplate sleep, my thoughts immediately turn to a vital and complex process known as immunosurveillance. This is, without exaggeration, one of the most extraordinary and sophisticated cancer-fighting mechanisms that your body intrinsically possesses. Your intricate immune system contains highly specialized cells referred to as natural killer cells, or NK cells. The fundamental role of these remarkable NK cells is essentially to continuously patrol your bloodstream and tissues, acting as vigilant sentinels. Their critical mission is to identify and neutralize early-stage cancer cells before these aberrant cells can firmly establish themselves and proliferate into dangerous tumors. You can effectively envision them as your body's highly trained internal security force, constantly on guard against nascent threats. What the vast majority of people remain unaware of is this crucial fact. The activity and efficacy of these vital NK cells are almost entirely regulated by your intricate sleep cycles. More specifically, it is during the profound, deep, slow-wave sleep stages, which predominantly occur during the initial hours of your night's rest, specifically stages 3 and 4 of non-REM sleep, that your body orchestrates the release of a powerful cascade of cytokines. These essential proteins directly amplify both the production and the activation of NK cells, bolstering your body's defenses. Disturbingly, after the age of 60, the proportion of this critical slow-wave sleep that your body naturally generates undergoes a significant reduction, plummeting by approximately 50%. This means that, left unaddressed, your body's intrinsic cancer surveillance system operates at roughly half its optimal capacity, leaving you considerably more vulnerable unless you proactively work to protect and enhance it. A compelling 2019 study originating from the prestigious University of Chicago and subsequently published in the Journal of Experimental Medicine unveiled a stark reality. Merely one single week of consistently sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night resulted in a dramatic reduction of natural killer cell activity by an astonishing 70% in otherwise healthy adults. To underscore this, 70% is a catastrophic drop in immune defense. A separate, equally critical 2021 analysis conducted by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, which painstakingly reviewed data from 27 distinct studies encompassing over 2 million participants, conclusively found that chronic short sleep duration, rigorously defined as consistently fewer than 6 hours of sleep, was unequivocally associated with a 40% increased risk of breast cancer, a 36% increased risk of prostate cancer, and an alarming 55% increased risk of colorectal cancer in adults over the age of 55. This evidence paints a clear picture of sleep as a critical anti-cancer intervention. Let me share the experience of my patient, Robert, a 63-year-old retired engineer who, prior to our consultation, took considerable pride in his perceived ability to function effectively on only 5 to 6 hours of sleep each night. Robert came to see me following the disconcerting discovery of a precancerous polyp during a routine examination. Robert was not obese. He was a non-smoker and engaged in regular physical exercise. However, his sleep was consistently fractured and insufficient in duration. We collaboratively implemented a rigorous sleep hygiene protocol tailored to his needs. This included a consistent 10:30 p.m. bedtime, ensuring complete light and device darkness in his bedroom after 9 p.m., maintaining a precise bedroom temperature of 67 degrees Fahrenheit, and incorporating a magnesium glycinate supplement to specifically support the depth of his slow-wave sleep. Within a mere 8 weeks, Robert's self-reported sleep duration had gratifyingly increased to an average of 7.5 hours per night, and his objective sleep tracker data provided compelling evidence of a doubling in the duration of his deep sleep stages. Most importantly, his NK cell count, meticulously measured through follow-up blood work, demonstrated a significant increase of 38%. For you, the most immediately actionable and profoundly effective starting point for improving your sleep is a concept that sleep researchers term anchor sleep. This involves committing to waking up at the exact same time every single morning, without exception, even on weekends. The reason for this rigidity is that your wake time exerts a far more powerful anchoring effect on your delicate circadian rhythm than your bedtime does. Therefore, set that alarm and commit to honoring it. Even a single week of consistent wake timing has been demonstrably shown to measurably improve sleep architecture in adults over the age of 50. And when you strategically pair this optimized sleep with the crucial dietary changes introduced in habit number 5, your body's inflammatory baseline drops to a remarkably lower and healthier level, allowing your immune surveillance system to function with the unparalleled efficiency for which it was intrinsically designed. However, as profoundly impactful as these initial 2 habits are in their preventative power, they serve as essential preparation for what is yet to come, a habit that directly intervenes in the very biological clockwork of your cells in a manner that scientists have only fully comprehended and elucidated within the last 15 years. I wish to fundamentally reframe a common perception for you right now concerning the term exercise. This word, for many, carries a substantial psychological weight, evoking a sense of onerous obligation, strenuous effort, and often intimidation. For a significant number of adults over the age of 50, this connotation unfortunately leads them to disengage and tune out the vital message. What I am about to describe to you is not exercise in the conventional, often daunting sense that you might be picturing. Rather, what I am profoundly advocating for is purposeful daily movement, and its specific effects on cancer biology are so precise, so far-reaching, and so deeply beneficial that I firmly believe it warrants recognition as its own distinct medical specialty. At the very core of this transformative habit lies a crucial molecule called insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. IGF-1 is a hormone whose primary function is to promote cell growth. While this sounds inherently useful for development, it also carries a significant and potentially dangerous dual nature, especially later in life. In youth, appropriately regulated IGF-1 is instrumental in driving healthy growth and development throughout the body. However, after the age of 50, chronically elevated levels of IGF-1, levels that are directly and significantly driven by sedentary behavior and a lack of consistent movement, act as a potent fertilizer for burgeoning cancer cells, dramatically accelerating their proliferation and growth. Regular, moderate engagement in purposeful movement is one of the very few lifestyle interventions scientifically proven to effectively lower baseline IGF-1 levels. Simultaneously, this consistent movement upregulates the activity of a vital tumor-suppressing protein called p53, which functions as your cell's most powerful and critical internal stop signal against malignant growth. A compelling 2020 study emanating from the American Cancer Society and published in the authoritative Journal of Clinical Oncology meticulously tracked 186,000 adults over an extensive 10-year period. The findings were conclusive. Those individuals who consistently engaged in at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity movement per week exhibited a remarkable 42% lower risk of developing colon cancer, a 38% lower risk of breast cancer recurrence, and a substantial 26% lower risk of all-cause cancer mortality. Further underscoring the power of even seemingly minor movements, a companion study from the University of Queensland published in The Lancet in 2022 found that simply breaking up prolonged periods of sitting with brief 5-minute walks every single hour significantly reduced blood markers of tumor-promoting inflammation by an impressive 27%, without requiring any structured exercise regimen whatsoever. This highlights that consistent, small bursts of activity can be profoundly impactful. Consider the journey of my patient, Eleanor, a 71-year-old woman who consulted me 2 years after receiving a stage 1 breast cancer diagnosis. She had successfully completed her rigorous treatment protocol, but understandably lived with a pervasive fear of recurrence. Eleanor, however, faced a common challenge. She suffered from arthritis, which severely limited her ability to run or participate in traditional high-impact gym workouts. Recognizing her unique circumstances, we collaboratively designed a personalized movement protocol centered entirely around what she could comfortably and consistently do. This involved a dedicated 20 minutes of brisk walking after her breakfast each morning, actively standing while watching television in the evenings instead of sitting, and incorporating structured 5-minute stretch and walk breaks every hour during her typically sedentary afternoon reading time. At her 12-month follow-up, the biological improvements were evident. Her IGF-1 levels had gratifyingly dropped by 23%. Her oncologist specifically noted significantly improved natural killer NK cell counts in her blood work, a powerful indicator of enhanced immune surveillance. Beyond the metrics, Eleanor herself described her energy levels and mental clarity as having been completely transformed, experiencing a renewed vitality. For you, the most accessible and effective implementation of this habit begins with a simple yet powerful commitment. Initiate a 20-minute walk after your largest meal of the day. Research from Stanford University, published in 2021, compellingly confirms that post-meal walking specifically and powerfully suppresses postprandial glucose spikes, which are known to independently fuel cancer cell metabolism by up to 33%. This targeted approach optimizes its anti-cancer benefits. You do not require an expensive gym membership, nor do you need any specialized equipment. All you need is your own front door and a consistent commitment to this practice. When this vital movement habit is intelligently layered on top of the sleep optimization strategies from habit number 4 and the fundamental dietary overhaul from habit number 5, the cumulative effect on your IGF-1 C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6 levels, 3 of the most profoundly important cancer-promoting molecules in your body, can result in a dramatic reduction that no single intervention could ever achieve in isolation. If you are discovering substantial value and actionable insights in the information we are exploring today, I would like to briefly pause and make a heartfelt request. Please consider subscribing to this channel, hitting the like button, and most importantly, sharing this video with someone over the age of 50 whom you deeply care about. The production of this content involves months of meticulous research, synthesis, and dedicated effort, and your invaluable support is what enables me to continue making this potentially life-saving information freely available to a wider audience. Now, we turn our attention to the second habit, one that initially surprised even me when I first meticulously reviewed the compelling scientific evidence. This is because it addresses something and essential process of programmed cell death that systematically eliminates damaged or malignant cells from the body. In plain and unambiguous English, chronic stress effectively instructs your body to keep damaged cells alive and thriving rather than initiating their necessary elimination. This biological aberration forms a fundamental foundation upon which cancer can flourish. A compelling 2022 study emanating from Ohio State University's Comprehensive Cancer Center, published in the esteemed journal Nature Immunology, revealed that chronic psychological stress significantly reduced tumor-infiltrating lymphocyte activity. These are the crucial immune cells specifically responsible for actively attacking and destroying cancer by a staggering 48% in adults over the age of 60. Further cementing this link, a comprehensive 2023 meta-analysis conducted by the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, which meticulously synthesized data from 16 distinct studies and encompassed nearly 500,000 participants, found that adults exhibiting clinically elevated chronic stress markers had a remarkable 43% higher risk of developing hematological cancers, including devastating diseases like leukemia and lymphoma, and a 31% higher risk of lung cancer when compared to low-stress control groups. The evidence is irrefutable. Let me share the compelling case of my patient, David, a 66-year-old recently retired executive. David came to me describing himself as finally relaxing after a demanding career, yet his blood work told a profoundly different story. His cortisol rhythm was alarmingly inverted, registering low in the morning when it should naturally peak and significantly elevated at night when it should ideally be near zero. He had developed what researchers term an allostatic load of those vital slow-wave sleep stages that are so crucial for immune function and cellular repair. Everything we have covered thus far, the strategic dietary modifications, the optimization of sleep, the commitment to purposeful movement, and the implementation of stress regulation techniques, all serve as a vital prologue. This is because habit number 1 is the singular overarching intervention that elegantly ties every intricate biological mechanism we have discussed into a unified, powerfully synergistic strategy. The scientific research underpinning this final habit is so utterly compelling, so transformative in its implications, that I almost hesitate to articulate it in its full grandeur. Yet, it is the single habit I would unequivocally choose if I were permitted to recommend only one intervention for every patient over the age of 50 on Earth. Now, we arrive at the apex of our discussion, the single most important habit, habit number 1. I wish to be exceptionally precise in my articulation here, because this particular habit is frequently misunderstood, often oversimplified, or regrettably dismissed as merely another fleeting weight loss fad. What I am about to meticulously describe is not a diet trend, but a specific biological protocol with profoundly documented anti-tumor mechanisms that have been rigorously confirmed in human clinical trials. It stands, unequivocally, as the simplest, most powerful, and crucially zero-cost cancer prevention intervention that I have encountered in nearly 3 decades of intensive oncology research. The core mechanism at the heart of this habit is a fascinating and vital cellular process called autophagy, a term derived from Greek words meaning self-eating. When your body enters a fasted state, typically occurring between 13 and 16 hours after your last meal, it actively triggers and amplifies this extraordinary process. During autophagy, your cells begin a highly sophisticated internal identification, dismantling and recycling operation targeting damaged cellular components. This includes not only pre-malignant cells, but also misfolded proteins and defective mitochondria. You can conceptualize this process as your body initiating a deep internal diagnostic and thorough cleanup cycle, meticulously clearing out cellular debris that could otherwise contribute to disease. In healthy younger adults, this autophagic cycle generally functions with reasonable efficiency. However, after the age of 50, the efficiency of autophagy sharply declines, with an estimated reduction of 40 to 50%. This significant decline is largely attributable to modern eating patterns, characterized by an almost constant availability of food from early morning until late at night. Consequently, most adults rarely enter the fasted state for a sufficient duration to robustly trigger meaningful autophagic activity. When these damaged cells and their components are not adequately cleaned up and recycled, they inevitably begin to accumulate. This accumulation of cellular damage is the fundamental biological substrate upon which cancer ultimately develops. A compelling 2019 study from the University of Southern California, published in the esteemed journal Cell Metabolism, found that adults who consistently restricted their eating to a precise 10-hour window each day, maintained for 12 weeks, demonstrated remarkable biological improvements. These included a 34% reduction in insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, a 29% reduction in C-reactive protein, CRP inflammatory markers, and a measurable upregulation of vital autophagy markers, all compared to control groups who ate across 15 or more hours. Further solidifying this evidence, a landmark 2022 clinical trial conducted by the University of Alabama at Birmingham and published in the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine followed 218 adults aged 55 to 70. This study conclusively found that those participants practicing a consistent 14-10 eating window, meaning eating all their meals within a 10-hour period and fasting for 14 hours, showed an impressive 37% reduction in markers of oxidative DNA damage and a significant 41% improvement in tumor suppressor gene expression. Crucially, these profound benefits were achieved without any caloric restriction being required. Let me illustrate this transformative power with the story of Michael, a 61-year-old schoolteacher who came to me 5 years ago. Michael had a history of precancerous colonic polyps, a concerning family history of pancreatic cancer, and a fasting glucose level that was uncomfortably perched at the high end of the pre-diabetic range. Interestingly, Michael was not overweight, and he consumed what most people would consider a perfectly reasonable diet. However, his eating window was excessively long, typically extending over 16 hours, from his first cup of coffee with cream at 6 a.m. to a late-night snack at 10 p.m. His autophagy markers, as measured through a specialized research panel, were among the lowest I had observed for a non-obese patient of his age. We implemented a straightforward 14-10 protocol. His first meal was at 8 a.m. and his last bite of food was consumed by 6 p.m. During the fasting window, he was permitted to have water and plain black coffee freely. Within just 90 days, his fasting glucose had dramatically dropped from 108 to a healthy 91. Within 12 months, his follow-up colonoscopy revealed a complete and astonishing resolution of the low-grade dysplasia that had been present in his previous 2 scopes, a finding his gastroenterologist described as both unusual and truly remarkable. Furthermore, his autophagy biomarkers, as measured through a specialized research panel, had increased by a remarkable 53%. For you, the practical implementation of this habit is considerably simpler than you might initially anticipate. You do not need to skip meals, nor do you need to rigorously count calories. Your primary objective is to establish a consistent eating window of 10 to 12 hours and then diligently protect that window. For example, if your first cup of coffee with cream is at 7 a.m., then your kitchen effectively closes at 7 p.m. If your breakfast is at 8 a.m., then your dinner must conclude by 6 p.m. Crucially, nothing but water, plain black coffee, or unsweetened tea is permitted outside of that defined eating window. Once this simple framework is established, your body, with its innate wisdom, takes care of the rest. And here lies the profound synergy, the integrated tapestry that seamlessly ties all 5 of these life-altering habits together. Time-restricted eating serves as a master lever, powerfully amplifying every single mechanism we have discussed. It effectively lowers IGF-1, acting on the very same pathway targeted by purposeful movement. It significantly reduces cortisol rhythm disruption, thereby profoundly supporting the strategic stress regulation we covered. It demonstrably increases the depth and efficiency of crucial slow-wave sleep, and it consistently reduces systemic inflammation, even in instances where your diet may not be absolutely perfect. This is precisely why I refer to time-restricted eating as the master lever. When you pull this lever, every other habit and intervention discussed in this comprehensive guide becomes significantly more powerful and effective. Let us now bring all these crucial insights home, synthesizing them into a coherent understanding, because what we have meticulously covered today is far from a mere collection of disconnected health tips. Instead, it represents a deeply integrated and scientifically validated biological strategy for profound cancer prevention. Habit number 5, the conscious elimination of ultra-processed foods directly removes one of the primary suppressors of your DNA repair machinery, that vital cellular proofreading system whose efficiency naturally declines by 30 to 40% after the age of 50. Habit number 4, the deliberate optimization of your sleep architecture is paramount to restoring the natural killer cell activity that serves as your body's primary internal defense mechanism against early-stage cancer cells, an activity that can plummet by up to 70% with chronic short sleep. Habit number 3, the commitment to daily purposeful movement, directly lowers IGF-1, the growth hormone that unfortunately fuels cancer cell proliferation, while simultaneously upregulating the p53 tumor suppressor protein that acts as a critical internal signal to stop malignant cells in their tracks. Habit number 2, the implementation of strategic stress regulation, normalizes the cortisol rhythm that can otherwise suppress your two most critical DNA repair genes and inadvertently keeps damaged cells alive longer than they should biologically be. And finally, habit number 1, the adoption of daily time-restricted eating actively activates autophagy, the cellular cleanup system that is, at its core, your body's deepest and most fundamental cancer prevention mechanism. Beyond its individual power, time-restricted eating amplifies the efficacy and impact of every other habit on this list, creating an unparalleled synergistic effect. I want you to receive something from me directly in this very moment as your doctor. It is never, ever too late to make these transformative changes. The extensive and compelling research I have shared with you today does not originate from studies conducted on 30-year-olds with seemingly perfect genetics. On the contrary, this research is based on studies of individuals exactly like you, adults in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, who consciously made targeted lifestyle changes and in doing so, produced measurable, scientifically documented biological improvements within their own bodies. Your cells are not permanently fixed in their current state. Your risk is not irrevocably sealed. Every single morning you awaken presents another profound opportunity to actively shift and optimize the internal conditions of your body, empowering it to fight disease and thrive. To empower you further on this path, I encourage you to consider which of these 5 powerful habits you will choose to begin integrating into your life this very week, and to reflect on what might be the biggest obstacle currently standing between you and that crucial first step. Sharing these thoughts, whether in a personal reflection or by reaching out, can be a powerful catalyst for change. The future well-being of your future self is profoundly counting on the informed decisions you choose to make right now. Please take diligent and loving care of yourself because you absolutely possess the innate capacity to do so.